Trev, I think we're jumping to your Yanks. Me and Jamalam.com did with BBD on Talkin Yanks. Go check it out if you want the full flushed out thoughts. But Carlos Rodon is a Yankee. One of the moves that was somewhat rumored from the start of the offseason. But to be fair, this guy was rumored with a lot of teams because he's been incredible the past couple seasons. Yankees, Garrett Cole, Nestor, Sevy. They add Rodon to the mix, more of a power lefty to pair with Cortez from the left side. What do you think of the move from the Yanks?
Well, obviously, I love the move for the Yanks, but I want to mention, we keep talking about Steve Cohen, and he's the new Yankees, if that makes any sense. He's the new boss in town, spending all this fucking money. And I think the Steinbrenners kind of saw that. And then with the Aaron Judge thing, yes, that was a lot of money. But in my opinion, that was the bare minimum. And that's kind of weird to say $360 million is the bare minimum you could do. But if you're the Yankees, signing Judge is the bare minimum for the offseason. So if you do that, you're happy, obviously. But hey, we need to go get more. I think Rodon is that kind of FU move. We're going to go after this because now the rotation sets up to be one of the best in baseball. I have to check every rotation out before I put out my updated rankings, but it's going to be one of the best in baseball. Frankie Montas is going to be your 5-starter. You got some guys there. So I like that. I still think they need to continue to add to that lineup because, as we saw last year, it can get a little top heavy there and we can have some outs at the bottom of that lineup. I think they're going to probably rely on some of the young guys. And that's kind of what I'm gathering. But the Rodon move to me, again, this is like an answer. We're still the Yankees. We're still going to go get guys when we want to go get guys. And I know you guys have to be happy with this because he's a fucking animal, man.
He's the stats don't lie. And by the way, the contract 6 years, 162. In the days leading up, people were rumoring 7-8 because he's 30 years old. We saw Jacob deGrom at 35 get a 5-year deal, and in this year of free agency, Bogey brought in 11. We've seen a 13er out there. You were wondering where it was going to land with Rodon as kind of the last big fish pitcher. So when 6 for 162 dropped, I know me and BBD looked at each other and kind of shrugged that's fine. Roll him out there. And yeah, it's this, the Yankees have a new window right now where you brought Judgy back and you're paying him a ton of money. You brought in Garrett Cole and you're paying him a ton of money. That if you're not attacking it now, 5 years from now, the Yankees could be a little funky to watch, man. What's Aaron Judge look like in 5 years? What's Stanton look like in 5 years? What's Cole?
Is he still going to be under contract in 5 years, Stanton?
I think Stanton has 5 left. So, but in 4.
So, there's going to be an interesting stretch 5 years, 4 years down the road for these Yankees. But for now, you need to attack the window, and they've got some youth on the way, some big prospects in Volpe and Peraza that everyone's been waiting to see. Dominguez has been waiting in the wings for a while, and now the question is, are they going to flip them to kind of retool that left side? Because people thought they were in on Benintendi. He signs with the White Sox. We'll probably dive into that more next step with John Boy. But man, if they didn't do Rodon, and this is snooty Yankee stuff, then the Yankees kind of had 3 to 5 moves they were going to have to do. And we didn't know what they were. Were they going to cash in all their prospects? Bring in Rodon. Your rotation's pretty good. You've got 4 you love. Montas is your question mark, and he had a tough sample size and an injury with the Yankees. They got to retool that left side, and I wonder if it's trade market or I wonder if it's just they bring in a couple shots at left field, and if they need to make big moves at the deadline, they can do that.
I don't want to I love my Twins, right?
Sure.
I love Minnesota. They're my people. My son was born there. They got a lot of outfield depth. That's the talk of the town, getting rid of some of those guys. I know Joe's McFly is on record as saying he doesn't want Max Kepler, but they got a lot of different guys out there, and it wouldn't surprise me if something like that happened. I think the trade market for them probably does make a little bit more sense because who's really out there on the free agent side that makes sense for them in left field right now?
Not a lot, man.
Like,
I mean, there's
Conforto maybe, like
Confortos, like David Peralta, your Jerkson Profar. You're just starting to get to a different,
yeah.
A different level of ball player. Not to be shots fired at Profar. It was great last year. I think he's going to get a nice contract, but it's probably not the piece the Yankees need, but we'll see.
To me, I'm like, let's get someone that can play some defense. I know left field and it's small out there in the corners, but when I think about the Yankees, I'm like, okay, they had a really good year defensively last year, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
let's keep adding to that. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
or I mean, do they need a bopper out there? I guess you can go either way. I would hope you get a little bit of defense, but you could also use some more bats there towards the end of the lineup. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what they do, because from talking to you guys and kind of like seeing what they did last year and holding on to all these guys, like I'd assume they're going to try to do some youth movement stuff there in the infield, and maybe they have too much depth there now. Is that, I don't know if that makes sense. Kind of at the top level minor league, you have those guys and you either got to play them or you got to trade them.
I mean, the Yankees have now passed. I think I saw the tweet the other day, and I forget who it was, so I should give someone credit. But it was now in the past 2 years, the Yankees have passed on 8 all-star shortstops. So if you do that and you have Peraza and Volpe on the way, 2 guys, Volpe, I mean, they treat as the next Judge. Like he's become a religious figure within the Yankees order. Whoa. So I think at some point you got to find out this year. Everyone's kind of assuming they're going to do 2 months in the minor leagues with him, though. So that leaves Peraza, who played a little bit at the end of last year, but they gave him kind of the Jeter Doc treatment. And then we've got our guy Oswaldo Cabrera hanging around, who's got the necklace. He came in with swag. He can play everywhere. And he's in discussions for left field, shortstop, or trade. So I don't know. I think for me, I think the move is a left fielder. I know Kepler's been rumored. Brian Reynolds has been on a lot of teams' rumor list. And it is a big left field, so you need kind of a rangy guy out there. It's how Brett Gardner racked up all that WAR that makes some Yankee fans mad. I would love if they bring in a left fielder. You can begin to talk yourself into everything else between the prospects. Does Josh Donaldson bounce back at all? He was incredible defensively last year, but he was awful offensively. You've now given yourself options that when you come up to the trade deadline, you still know you're going to need a couple things. Every team does, but their bullpen's in a good place. Their rotation's in a good place. The top of the lineup, well, outside of kind of a true leadoff guy, we'll see where DJ LeMahieu's at. But no, Yankee fans, I think when they signed Rodon, it was a little bit of an exhale, which is completely obnoxious.
It's not obnoxious. That's what you should expect from the Yankees. I love it, man. I love it. Quick before we move on.
Yeah.
There are times when the student becomes the teacher.
Yes.
I think it might be time, as I'm working with Coach Tuck in the cage and as I'm getting my bearings back as a hitter, and I'm like, oh, I know how to teach this. Do I need to call JD? Do I need to call JD and say, let me help you this time, bro?
Yeah.
You're still playing, and I'll help you get the Yankees back to the promised land. Maybe I'll do that. I don't know. Depends how you treat me over the next month or so, okay?
Is that your official offer to JD?
I could take a look at some things, take a look under the hood. You know what I mean?
I do. Speaking of looking under your hood,